Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and welcome back to my channel. I'm Fraser and here we are. We're still in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and we're in the Fokker Friendship F27 and we're going to be, as you could probably tell, we're going to be doing a flight to Dublin with this Aer Lingus, old school Aer Lingus livery here in Edinburgh Airport. So we'll be doing all the IFR with the radios, and we'll probably be using a bit of vectoring in for whatever runway they are going to require us to land at in Dublin. So here we are. We'll get into the aircraft and we'll open it up and make it look like it's even though we're not really outside, we'll give it a bit of an open feeling to it. So here we are, a nice livery too, very classic 60s sort of livery of the time. Sort of reminds me of the NAC, not that I lived in that generation, but the photos I've seen of the NAC with the big thick red stripe down here, yeah, very 60s sort of style livery. But yeah, we are going to get this flight all set up and we will come into here and we'll turn on our navigation light, we'll turn on our wing ice light as well, and we'll turn on the radios and the inverters as well, and just for a reference, we'll enter in this Edinburgh AMD frequency just to give us a bearing for this VOR. So we won't set it in the actually we will set it in just for a bit of reference. 368. And we'll see if that should pick it up. In theory it should pick it up. Maybe we need to turn on something else, or I can't remember. I'm pretty sure everything that we needed to do is all turned on. Alright, we'll set up our VOR, it's 13.8. And we'll set our inbound course as 169 degrees. And our outbound is going to be, just for reference, 211. And that frequency is going to be the Isle of Man 12.2, so we'll set it up into this one here, this DME here. And we'll set out into that nav, and we'll set our DME, which we only got one unfortunately, but we'll set that to 13.8. And I think that's all we need to do. Interesting how, oh, now it's come alive, so that's good. Right, we will now load up the aircraft. So we having issues with viewing our, oh, it's working. No, it's not working. We will set our weight straight off the sim brief on my website that I'm on. So our fuel is going to be 2.4 tons, so we'll set that into here. 2.5, that's fine. And our estimated takeoff weight is going to be 16.9. I'll just make it 16.7. Actually, we'll scroll it up just a little bit, make it as close as it could be, and maybe we'll change the center of gravity just back here a bit. But yeah, that's our flight setup. Oh, we better set our trims too. While we're doing that, we'll start our sim brief. It's 2 degrees outside, so we're going to be setting this to 50%. And we will request flight clearance. So 103 knots we should be rotating. So let's hit our runway heading 24. Which is just about there, 24. We'll select that departure. I think it's just a radio departure. We'll just have a look. Yeah, it is. Oh, perfect. It is a cool little radio departure, so that is exactly what we want. So we're taking off, heading out runway runway 24, and then when we basically hit this 7 nautical miles, which we won't really set into we won't set that in. I think that's going off the ILS. But once we're going to be tracking this outbound of 64, so once we hit that, we'll head in towards TLA, VOR, then we'll head on outbound, and then we'll set Dublin VOR in here. We'll just add that in while we think about it, so we can have a bearing. Alright, I think we are ready to get going, folks. Alright, we will now go ahead and turn on our engines. So we'll go ahead and turn on all of our fuel pumps. And we'll turn on our fuel heater because it's pretty cold outside. I'm just turning on random buttons here. But I'm going to turn on our instrument lighting. Get everything all nicely lit up. Right, and now we can close up our aircraft. remove these steps, and we'll get that beacon light on, and we'll start the engine. So make sure it's in start mode. We'll push that button, get that engine started. Drag this up to open. And that, once it gets into the green, we can now drag this to the lock open position, and now we can now turn on the port engine. So switch it across to port, push the old on button, turn on the generator for that starboard engine. We can now get that fuel into the engine. And we'll just drag it to the lockout position. That's the engine starter. We'll select that back to safe. We'll go to port, turn on the generators. We'll turn on the engine, turn off the external power. Switch that according to the checklist back to starboard. That selected button there. We'll turn on our seatbelt signs. We'll turn on our emergency exit light button, and we'll turn on the alternators. We'll call up the little tug. And for some reason, my little pushback starter thing isn't working. Now it is perfect. So we're now pushing back, folks. Oh, for some reason this isn't working at all. We're just gonna have to break a few rules here and just turn on around. Like I say, I just seem to have good days and bad days for Flight Simulator. Everything seems to work perfectly well, and then other days things just don't work at all. Luckily this has got a good turning radius, so we'll just do a full 180 degree turn like that. I think I might remove the mod that I have to make the sounds a bit more clearer. I think that might be conflicting with something in the game. Well, who knows, it might just be Microsoft Flight Simulator in general. It might just be things behind the scenes that are slowly falling apart. Who knows? Right, I think everything looks pretty good. Definitely do know it's a very classic cold winter's day here in Scotland, in Edinburgh. I love that growl out of those turbo props when you idle down like that. Brings back so many memories of being at Rotorua Airport when turboprops were, I mean they still are the norm in Rotorua, but especially hearing the these Rolls-Royce darts on the Hawker Sydneys and the Friendships, you still get that roar with the current turboprops. Right, landing lights can now come on. And we're just going to taxi on out to the runway. Oh, one thing I will do is I'll select 100% on the fuel trims. Right, we're cleared for takeoff. Alright, we'll start our pullback, and for some reason having issues like these Fokker Friendships, when I used to fly them at the beginning, they used to take off pretty easily. Right, we just fly on this radio, this runway heading until we get to, until that lines up, until the VOR lines up, and then we'll head out towards that VOR. I'm just going to minimize this and just get a nice little screenshot. Nice takeoff there. Flying out over the Edinbourgh Scottish countryside. We'll release that, get rid of that flaps. Might speed up the simulation just a tad. And now coming up to that VOR, that's starting to do its thing, and then we can start turning in to track it. We're flying over Livingston, and that appears to be Livingston FC's ground. That's one of the very few grounds I never got to when I was in Scotland. Came close a few times, but been to almost every other football stadium there in Scotland. Not everyone, but I've definitely been to a fair few. Oh, and it's definitely very cold out there, and already -5 degrees. Right, once we get above 6,000 feet, 7,000 feet, we should be right with activating the auto throttle. As we know, when we activate it too soon, it can do weird stuff. So we'll turn it on now, engage the airspeed and the VOR tracking. And that seems to have gone pretty smoothly. And we'll go outside and we'll just enjoy some of this Scottish countryside. And I probably should turn on some NTI, so I'll turn this on. And I'll turn on some galley heating, eh? Right, not too sure what I'm doing with all of those buttons there, but... And we should set our altimeter as well to our standard, which is 1013. And it appears that we do have Isle of Man capturing on our radios, so as soon as we fly outbound, we'll just track onto the Isle of Man frequency. And what is my actual altitude? It's 24,000 feet, so I'm not going to be traveling at 24,000 feet. I'll just cruise on at 14,000 feet. Let's go back into heading mode and make sure I'm just going to go to heading mode now, and I'll get this set up to 211. And because we are going to start tracking the Isle of Man viewer, we'll just set that up like so. And I guess we can start tracking that. Oh, I was going to change my cruising altitude. I'll just scroll that back down. We'll travel at 14,000 feet. And we'll go into viewer mode. I think we can decrease our fuel trims for a nice cruising setting, whatever that is in real life. And yeah, apart from that, we're all good. We're just going to enjoy the Scottish countryside, and we'll get back to you with when it comes to the look at that sky there. It definitely looks rainy over there. Right, we'll get back to you soon, folks. Enjoy the Scottish countryside while it lasts.
Shagger, well, that's actually quite good. You've settled in and got a job at the airport. That'd be good. Pretty steady work, that, I would imagine. Yeah, hard graft. Right, Saturday I'm meeting my mate Kelly that I used to know from Dublin. Well, he is an Aussie. He lives in the Gold Coast back home. But he stayed in Dublin for many years. We got married and went back home to the Gold Coast. So Sunday's probably a better option. My mate Darren, he's going to see his mate Boothie, who lives a little further up north. He's coming into Brisbane to meet him on Sunday. So Sunday sounds good, mate. I'm staying at the Riverside in Southbound, so we can meet up somewhere around. Or you can come to the Riverside where I'm staying and get me here, and then we can go somewhere and go walk along the Brisbane River on there and whatnot. I done that going to the Gabba yesterday. It was fucking lovely walk. Grab ourselves a coffee and have a catch up. So yeah, Sunday late morning's perfect. Coffee and have a catch up. So yeah, Sunday late morning's perfect. So Sunday's probably better, but you stayed in Dublin for me. Anybody who loves. Sounds good, mate. I'm staying at the Riverside in South Bank, so we can meet up somewhere around. Or you can come to the Riverside where I'm staying and get me here, and then we can go somewhere and go walk along the Brisbane River on there and whatnot. I done that going to the Gabba yesterday. It was fucking lovely walk. Grab ourselves a coffee and have a catch up. So yeah, Sunday late morning's perfect.
Right, we're getting pretty close to our airport in relative terms, and we've been given our arrival, which we are going to change because we don't have any, as you know, we don't have any GPS as such. We're just going to be getting our, I'll just slow this down. We'll be needing to get our vectoring, so we will get that sorted out, and we're landing on 10 right. So I have been looking at flight radar, and all of the only prop aircraft is the Air Lingus, and they've been using these gates here, but we will sort of go kind of old-fashioned. We'll use one of these gates here, so we'll use 411, see if that comes up. Right, we'll use 411, that sounds perfect, and we'll get some vectoring done when that comes up. And we'll see what vectoring they will give us. What we will do is we'll set up this as our, we'll set up that as our VOR as well, so we can see how close we actually are to Dublin. But we've been given our headings, so we'll just go ahead and set our QNH 999 999, and we've got given a vectoring, so that we're going to set that to 250. Go to heading mode, and we'll just we'll set in our DME to 111, just so we know how far we are from the airport. And then we'll go ahead and enter in our wireless frequencies. And we're just going to use the wireless approach. We're just going to use the final approach. And we'll go ahead and enter in those frequencies, get that all set up. One 108.9, so I'll set both these up to 108.9. Right, and we'll set that course up to, we'll get everything all set, so 97 is our final approach course. Just keep this page up just in case we get any vectoring. Right, we'll turn on our landing lights, which are already on, but we'll get our taxi lights on. Everything else seems pretty good. We'll set our minimums as well, which is going to be, I think we're just going to set it for 200. Right, I'm going to speed up the simulation rate just a little bit more, get this show on the road. Right, we're about to fly over the Irish coastline here. And I think we'll just shallow out our descent just a little bit. And we'll increase our fuel trims. I've got no idea how these work in real life, but I'm just guessing really. Right, we're almost coming up to our our altitude that they set for us, 3,000 feet, so everything's looking pretty good. I will pull back the speed just a little bit. What I will do is I will go ahead and set the DME to the RLS frequency. And it's just a case of letting this vectoring do its thing, and yeah, FSR seems to be doing really well. I do enjoy using it. Bit like Flight Simulator 2020 with the zigzagging a little bit, but yeah, I dare say it's a lot better than the current Flight Simulator that we have at the moment. The default ATC is not the best at the moment. Right, we're basically at our altitude, so we're just going to go ahead and set that. And we've been given basically clearance to intercept the RLS. So I'll go ahead and do that, and that's our vectoring onto our runway, so that went really smoothly, really well. Right, we can now arm the approach viewer button and let the autopilot do everything itself. Right, we're almost about to be established on the whole RLS. And we'll turn this on, turn our radio altimeter on. And that's us, folks. We're now on our RLS profile. Pull back the speed just a little bit. We'll keep the speed up because we are on a very slow aircraft, and this aircraft does drop off speed pretty quickly, so we can just keep the speed nice and high for the time being. Right, we'll deploy the flaps and the gear. And we'll just use flaps 30. Is that flaps 30? 25, we'll just use flaps 25, 26 for our landing. We don't need full flaps. And we'll just keep that speed up. I really can't wait for this to come to Flight Simulator 2024, and I certainly can't wait for... I mean, I really love this freeware aircraft, but it'd be cool if Just Flight releases some of their aircraft like the Fokker Friendship F27 and the Hawker Cine. I'd be very happy with that. Not to say this is a really nice aircraft. This is better than a lot of payware aircraft out there, so I'm really happy with this. Alright, pull that speed back. I can turn off the autopilot now, turn off the flight directives, and we'll just do the rest ourselves. And touchdown. And we'll use this exit here. Flaps and landing lights can now come up and off. And we'll go and taxi onto our parking stand. And here we are, we've arrived into Dublin Airport using FS HUD and vectoring and flying this stunning freeware Fokker Friendship F27, and everything went incredibly well with that. Really happy with that, how that all went. And yeah, we're just now taxiing on down to our... We can turn off the pitot tubes, pitot headers I should say. Oh, wrong one, turn these back on. And we're just going to cross the runway here. They don't use this very much anymore, the cross runway. Just double check anyway, but it's clear. Yeah, it's a nice wee airport, this Dublin airport. And we'll turn off our little taxi light there. And here is our little stand up here, 114 I do believe it is. Or 111, 411. 411. Alright, and we're just gonna park on here. Right, I hope you guys enjoyed that little flight as we will come here, engage the ground power, and then we can now go ahead and shut these engines off. And we'll turn off the fuel pumps. And we'll turn off the anti-icing device over here. And we'll turn off the anti-collision. These lights here, the alternators. Release the passengers and turn off the generators. Oh yeah, and yeah, we'll open up the doors. And I hope you guys enjoyed the flight. A wee flight with the Aer Lingus Fokker Friendship from Edinburgh to Dublin. All connected up now, all ready to disembark. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that flight, and we'll see you again next time.